Welcome back. And yes, we've been having such an amazing time here on the show. That was before now we had sports with Brenda Shima, and now we're taking this conversation to another level, or the program rather to another level. You'll recall that on the inauguration, the day of the inauguration on May 29 specifically, President Bola Tinubu made a declaration and talking about the fuel subsidy. He made it very clear that the fuel subsidy regime definitely has come to an end. Well, paraphrasing his words though. And well, from that point on, in fact, that very day, I recall that people started hoarding, some filling stations started hoarding the product. And as it stands right now, we are buying fuel for above 500 naira, you know, at NPC mega stations, and perhaps the price might be higher in some other stations as well. But then we're here this morning and we're going to be looking at this conversation, all right? And we're looking at fuel subsidy removal, analyzing the politics, benefits, and its implication. Our guest today is not the person, but the very delectable Ambassador Ginika Toe. She's a commissioner, Federal Character Commission. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
You can be difficult to get a hold of sometimes, but
no, but I'm here now.
Abdul did a good job bringing you here this morning. So let's get right into it. And I like this topic personally because people never seem to have understood the politics behind fuel subsidy. And you know, most times they tell you the fact that every leader, from Jonathan, I remember in 2012, who made an attempt to stop fuel subsidy and failed with a massive protest. In fact, some people have accused the current administration and some elements in the APC of being the mastermind of, you know, taking advantage and, you know, stopping the whole process back in 2012. When Buhari came on board, several times he acknowledged that, look, subsidy has to go. But then the political will, like they say, was not there. So help us understand what the politics around fuel subsidy has been over these years.
Well, you just said it, is actually looking at country Nigeria is an economic necessity that has political dilemma. Dilemma in the sense that this is good, but if you look at it, people would not understand it. It has a negative, you know, influence on politics too, political influence and all of that. So it's actually important. It's important. In fact, at this point, I think large number of Nigerians understand already the importance of the removal of subsidy, what it has put us through, the deficit, the loans, and all of that is caused through this. You agree with me that the fuel price internationally rise at all points in time exponentially. And the government will also have to, you know, raise the bar to cushion the fact. When you hear things like 2012, you see things like $1 billion. I think in 2019 also, it came to $400 million. Now in 2022, we are hearing 3 trillion out of budget. So that means the chunk of our budget is imputed in subsidy. So for me, it's penny wise, pound foolish. So all we need to make the public to understand is the importance of this. You remember, you could recall that the last time I was here, we talked about this a bit. And I said something, I said, look, there's no gain without pain. For you, you are asking for a better country, and you think you just sit down with the decay we have already, we're going to have a better country without you feeling some pains. You have to feel it a bit. Nevertheless, I'm still an advocate, advocate to preparation.
But at the end of the day, whose fault is it? Is it the fault of the people who will bear the brunt? Because here we have a situation, because when you look at these figures, you would agree with me that over the years, we ought to have fixed our refineries and have them fully operational. But even as we speak right now, the past administration awarded contracts through NNPCL, awarded contracts for, in fact, this time around, the language changed from turnaround maintenance to rehabilitation of these refineries.
Absolutely.
So is it the fault of the common man to feel this pain for people who are in government who did not take these decisions as it went due?
We are where we are, and it's our duty, all of us, government and the general public. There's no way you can do it. You're talking about refineries. You're talking about things that need to be done. When the chunk of our money is being imputed in one thing that can actually be handled. What do I mean by that? Fuel has risen to how much? 540? I bought. But do you know what it did to me? Previously, 3 days, when I fill my tank, maximum of 3 days. But I can tell you that this is the 3rd day gone now, and I haven't got quarter tank yet. What does that mean? It means that some trivialities are put behind me. It will straighten you even as a person. Places you need to go to that you know it's just for triviality, you will count your cost. You begin to count your cost. So in as much as it's going to cause inflation, it's going to cause some kind of pains and all of that, it also has large importance.
But you say inflation casually as though it's
of course. No, it's not casually. See, we've been in it. Why don't we just face it and get out of it, get it done and over with? We are saying that we have health sector being left out, we have educational sector, we have infrastructural development sector that is not being taken care of just because the chunk of what we have has been put into something that can actually be taken out. Like I said, if fuel is 540, what it will do to you is to cut your movement according to your pocket. Do you get it? Yeah. You see Nigeria will just move everywhere, just because the government is cushioning the effect of the cost. It's not the government's fault that the cost is the way it is. You should rather be thanking the government for what they had done before. And the government said there's going to be, for the common man, grants for transport grants, and I'm sure they're going to do all of that. And some people will come to say, okay, why immediately? Oh my God, when you're out of the system, you're outside and you see things going bad. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a man that is desirous of seeing that this country has to move forward. And what he needed to do was to say what he said before. When he was contesting, he said it. He said, I will remove fuel subsidy and I will still win the election. Because he knows that making such statements could actually deny him the opportunity to become the president. But he didn't mind saying it. He said it over and over again. And he only affirmed what he said on the day he was inaugurated. This is the first thing. Should we get 3 trillion out of this place into this side? I'm not a magician.
All right, let's look at another angle.
That is the way
let's look
to
at
go.
another angle here. Consider this. A couple of days ago, the leaders of the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC were in a meeting with representatives of the federal government, and that meeting ended in a deadlock. No decision was made.
Was reached.
But then, was reached. And then we have the Nigerian Labour Congress who are talking about a strike on a Wednesday. So does it appear that everybody may see the good in this, but the Nigerian Labour Congress does not see the good in it? What do you make out of their position to go on strike
I
on
know
Wednesday?
The president of Nigerian Labour Congress is my friend and my brother and my elder, Joe Ajero. And we've had this conversation over and over again. But however you look at it, he's representing some sector. And I heard something about wages will be increased. Somehow he kicked off and said, even if wages it will be increased, what about the general man? But for me, I think one should also know where your jurisdiction lies. Your jurisdiction is about the labor, people in service, for their transportation to be taken care of. That's the focus. We have other people who are in charge of the common man, who should come out and speak out. And then if there's going to be grants for the common man and the wages are increased, what else are we looking for? I also advise that it's imperative for him to sit down and look at the importance. If you don't look at the importance of this, let me tell you, the lower household is not even benefiting as much as the higher household of this country. What am I trying to say? Those people who are distributing this for, they're the ones gaining, because it's like they sit in their house and some amount of money is already put in their pocket. And the common man is there thinking he's benefiting. No, he's penny wise, pound foolish. You ain't benefiting anything.
But the Nigerian Labour Congress are saying that they have experts amongst them as well, where for decisions like this to be taken, there ought to be intensive consultation so that they can also provide solutions.
How long should we be talking about intensive consultation? This thing has been on and on and on up till now. And meanwhile, what did the president do? He only affirmed his statement. He had said it before. It's like you come to people and you promise, for those who understand the importance of removal of subsidy, that it's going to grow other economic sectors. And then you get in on board on the day you are being inaugurated. You need to affirm your statement once again. And he said, I will remove it. However, recall that even the candidate of Labour Party, Obi, said the same thing. He said he will remove it immediately. So on my platform, some of my platforms where people come negative, I put that video through to them and I say, your preferred candidate also said the same thing. So the moment to begin to remove bias, sentiment, I think is still really large in Labour Party, in NLC. They should take away sentiment. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the president now. And should what your preferred candidate, what he said. So now some people will say the approach, like I had mentioned approach before, that beautiful policies can actually hit the rock with wrong approach. There's at the end of June. He only made a statement that, like I said before,
you said end of June, but then here's the thing. I recall yesterday, Governor Hope Uzodinma, who was at the villa yesterday under the aegis of the progressive governors, made a complaint that he complained during the interview that just like what you're saying, the president affirmed his position on fuel subsidy, and then you have a case where NNPCL has gone on to review their price template for the products across the country, and then you have a situation where fuel marketers have also increased the prices of their products that they probably got on subsidies as well. So will you still look at this and say it was a right place for the president to make that sort of affirmation?
No, this is an affirmation of, this is what I promised you prior to my emergence as the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's not an official go ahead. You only said, I said this and it will happen. It has not been able, we've tried over the years and it happened. He's only saying at my time, I'm going to do this. And when I do this, I'll get this country going forward. Do you get it? Now, people, that is where the law enforcement agency should come in. They should visit all these filling stations that suddenly, because of a statement made on air during inauguration, you suddenly change your, is that the price you bought the food? So that's where the law enforcement agency should come in. That's where the law of the country should take its charge. Because it's not the president's fault that Nigerians behave like people who do not understand A from B. He didn't say increase the fuel prices at that instance. He only said, part of what I promised you is this, and I'm going to ensure. It's an affirmative statement, but not implementive statement. He didn't implement it. He's not saying this is it, we're implementing it right away. So lo and behold, before he will leave the stage, they had already increased fuel price.
Let me ask you another question.
So the people in the law should take charge and make sure that these people are brought to book.
I want to go back to the issue of the politicking part of this whole issue. Now, you recall that, you will agree with me that over the years, we've seen the rot in the oil and gas sector. And because of this, subsidies is just one aspect of it. We've seen cases where there was a case in Nigeria here, I'm sure you probably also bought that fuel, where it had a high level of, I think, sulfur or so in the fuel. We saw the cases go back and forth in National Assembly. We saw the cases of the pipeline vandalization, where people were extracting crude oil, recovered pipelines, illegal pipelines that were laid by individuals in this country. Yet, we've not seen any convictions in the oil and gas industry. So when government, how do you expect the Nigerian people to trust when government makes some of these positions? Or
well, Nigerian people should trust the government now.
Government is a continuum, isn't it?
This one is a man that will that will change the narrative. I used to tell people, I said, when you are in the US, you see the traffic, you don't. But in Lagos, even till date, you cannot. If you are going right, maintain your right. If you are going left, how were they able to achieve that? It takes a man who laid the background, the foundation, and that is Bola Ahmed Tinubu. I make bold to say that whatever decision is taken, we're standing by it because I know that it's channeling to the, so what does it need from us than to help us? Emiloko, it's my turn to change Nigeria to make it what it is. So it is the duty
We're
of
done
the common
campaigns.
man to
We're
please.
done with
It is duty. No, it's not about campaign. It's about letting the common man understand the importance of what is going on now, and the need for them to understand that those who change the price instantly do not want this to happen. They should be wise by now. Have they asked themselves that question? Did the man say, I'm implementing this as I'm standing here? He only said, I'm affirming to you that what I promised you, and the common man may not understand. So what did the players, what did they do? They instantly increased price so that the common man will come and start agitating. And before you know it, we're on the street, like in Ruche, to go and start talking. No, do research. Understand that you feel the pain a bit and you gain. Leave all these cabals. They know what they are doing. That is the political undertone in this. They intentionally did it.
So are you suggesting that the NLC could also be affiliated to some of this
NLC is still nursing their hearts on whatever they feel is a preferred. I don't want to say, but with time they will come around.
So who are the cabal?
You are sitting there now. You own an industry. You are an oil mogul, and you just sit in your house. As people are buying 2 naira, you are getting your chunk of the money in bulk. It's benefit of you. Do you get it? What do? They are the owners of oil now. Well, all they do is to just increase it immediately. What's their intention for doing that? Was that the price they bought the fuel in the first place? No. They did it so that the common man will now feel the pain of going to work, that their transportation has increased from 1,000 to 3,000 naira. Do you get it? So you know that pain is what they know. And what is the job of the orientation agency? They've been mentioning this over the time. We are going to remove fuel subsidy to increase the price of fuel. What have they done? They mean they had not gotten those little tips that should be sent out to the general public. Do you understand? Looking at Nigeria as a diverse society in different ethnic languages, send it out and let people, common man, understand that, okay, all you need to do is go to work. I've increased the cost of my food. For example, if I have a place that sells food, increase the cost of food, increase the salary, the wages. So government will, of course, increase wages. So NLC should understand that their own duty, their jurisdiction lies within labor. Labor, the people working in service. So sometimes we should not go ultra-virus.
All right.
We should remain into virus. Work within the scope of power given to us.
All right. Let's quickly look at the implications of this, because I'll think to myself that within this period, short, mid-term, and long-term, what are the implications of this? First of all, how soon are Nigerians going to start seeing the sense in taking away a subsidy after all? Don't forget, once again, that we always have, the Nigerians have a great trust issue. There's a trust deficit in Nigerians, the Nigerian people and government. What is the assurance that when this money, which is supposed to go into subsidy, is taken away, what's the assurance that it's actually going to be put into this project and Nigerians will see them?
You said we are done with campaign, but there's no way we can make reference to the past, into the present. So the assurance is the same man who has come on board. Let me say men, because you look at Shatima too, he has it. What they have done, I just said something to you. Remember when Senator Remi, the First Lady of Nigeria, spoke at the Economic Center? She said, we are made, we do not need your money, we just want to help. Why don't we just give that benefit of doubt? And like I said to you, that I tell those who are still very sentimental about the whole issue, that your preferred candidate said the same thing. He said he won't even allow you to last the next day. So it's the same thing. Should he have been the one to do this, you would have supported him too. But because he's not your preferred candidate, you want to see fault in everything.
I hope you are not referring to me, because...
No, not you. Are you NLC?
Okay.
Are you Nigerians who do not understand? And that's why I go to the area of orientation agency. People need to be informed. Information, communication, we need to be informed. Should people understand that, hey, calm down. Look at what has been happening to you. You are saying the health sector is suffering. Educational sector, you need free education. All these areas are suffering because the major, in fact, which country we survive with this. Nigeria, we survive with this. In fact, we are even blessed by God to have survived. When I did my research and I discovered how much money, I see why we keep taking loans. We need to end it. We need to become a country that will give loans. And these are the things Asiwaju Bola Ahmed promised you. But he will not do it. He's not a magician. He will not do it without some of these things being taken care of.
Let me put two things across to you. There are people who argue that we shouldn't even have we shouldn't even have palliatives in the first instance, because in the end, you are taking away money from this sector, oil subsidy, and still putting it in another thing or another project like the palliatives that we spoke about. And in the end, the economy is not growing in the real sense of it.
Should you remove this money?
That's the position of some people. But
should you remove this money, palliative will still be important, and it will still take care of it. Will still take care of other sectors. What am I trying to say? If you come to the US, what do you think they do? The children go to school free. We need that in Nigeria. It's part of palliative. The children eat in school free. Is that not palliative? That's palliative. So it's still important because there's this common man. That, in fact, in the US, they tax the bigger income earner more than the common man. When they tax you, they feed. And that is why you see the economy, the society, the country moving. Everyone is smiling and laughing because you can at least eat. And I think you remember there was a time during the campaign that Bola Ahmed Tinubu said something about note. He said you no longer need to use your money. Cars are increased now. You don't need to use your full. If they say car is 3 million, 10 million, you don't need 10 million if you don't want to pay. If you want to pay fully, fine, just like in the US. But you can actually do it over the years. Their house came and all of that. These are promises he has made. And does it mean he's going to do magic, to bring all those promises to fruition? No. These are things that must be put in order. And I have said it before. But however you look at it, I know that every good policy without preparation, approach matters. So people could say the approach is wrong. But I keep saying he only affirmed what he said. Okay. He did not say, go ahead and increase fuel price. So the public should go to those fuel stations and ensure that they sell at the price they bought the fuel. Because it has not increased from the source yet. So why did they suddenly increase? That means the bigger players there are playing a game to, because they know the mindset of the people. But I keep telling Nigerians, it's time to be wiser. It's time to be a part of this, be patriotic. You need to pay a price. There's so much decay. If we don't pay this price, we're getting nowhere. So until we understand that we need to support the present administration to get us going, then we'll continue to remain where we are and continue to complain.
All right,
You'll be traveling abroad to get your health issues done when we can actually get that done in Nigeria. Right. Give Bola Ahmed Tinubu and Shettima a chance.
Okay, so
and you enjoy
thank
Nigeria.
you very much. Thank you very much, Ambassador Jenny Kato. Unfortunately, this is where we have to end the conversation on fuel subsidy removal, analyzing the politics, benefit, and its implication. Thank you once again so much for coming on the program, Commissioner, Federal Character Commission. And I'm hoping that in the not-too-distant future, if we call on you, you'll oblige us.
Of course, I'll always be here. Once it has to do with Nigerians understanding why they should come, everything has got pros and cons. Okay. It's for you to feel the pain of to feel the benefit of the pros, and you feel the pain of the cons. So everything has got it, and when you do that, it comes to a balance, and then you enjoy Nigeria. I can't wait. I can't wait to enjoy this country.
Okay, so thank you so much. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, we'll be going to the last segment of the show, and stick around.